Hello, everybody. This is our very first Everything is Attitude program, and Al is here with me. Al Pisano is here with me. Those of you who've seen me before on our YouTube channel will know Al as one of those people who helps, and we're going to be doing this together, right, Al?
Correct, we are. Yes. Hello,
So,
everyone.
so basically, we want to help people to understand that no matter what your circumstances, no matter what is going on in your life, your attitude is a huge factor in whether you can successfully navigate this life, or whether you are continually becoming depressed, or things aren't working out for you, and so on. Would you say that's right, Al? We're looking at how our attitude affects who we are and what we are in our life, in this lifetime of ours, this
Yeah,
precious gift of life.
yeah. So we're going to do it through having conversations ourselves, but also bringing people in to talk about their current situations, to discuss how they approach a situation, how they perceive a situation, and just kind of work through, some of the things that can help them either look at it in a different way or have more discipline, in a certain aspect of their life. Um, and with the caveat that I know myself am not perfect, and we experience a lot of these things ourselves. So hopefully we'll learn from this as well, from what people do, from how people handle situations, sometimes seemingly insurmountable situations. So we're looking forward to this journey, and it very much is kind of unfolding before us because we have an
As we
idea,
speak, as
right?
we speak, we're doing this live, as we
Yes.
try to do whenever possible. And as Al said, we're going to be inviting people. So if you yourself are going through an issue right now, and you feel that you're struggling with this issue, or that maybe there's something that you can do that you're missing, or something that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing, or that's making the situation worse, we're inviting you to call in and take part in this. And you can go on camera if you like, or not. It will be your choice. And Al's going to give you the all the information as to where you can send your stories to us. We're going to ask you to send those stories, and we're going to ask you no more than 3 or 4 paragraphs, please, because we do not have the time to read an entire book. Just remember that. So if you write a litany, if you write a whole lot of stuff, we're going to be less inclined to read it because we've only got so much time. But it's true what Al says. We've all of us, I mean, all of you who know me know and have read my books, you know that I've been through some trials and tribulations. We've all been through them. And you also know, because I'm very open about the fact that it's not easy to always be positive, or to always have the right attitude. And every one of us, including myself, we fail at that. I always say to people, it's easy when it's easy. but, but when it's not easy, it's really tough. We also know, and you all know out there, I know some of you think, when I talk about how we should behave and our attitude and how we should be positive, you're thinking to yourselves, I know, I can hear, I'm psychic, I can hear you thinking, all of you are listening in now, well, it's all right for her because, and yes, it is, you're right, it's all right for me because I do have a lot of knowledge, and I do have a lot of wisdom, and I am a tough cookie. When I need to be, I have struggled just like everybody else has, but I do have an innate strength, and I do have a positivity that is beyond just thinking positively. I'm a very, very strong person in many, many ways. What we're trying to do here is we understand that, I mean, Al is strong, but yet, I don't know if you're strong as me, Al, or maybe you're even tougher than me, who knows? But there are people out there who are not as strong, who I can make suggestions and then they can think again, well, it's all right for her, but how do I do that? So our job here, one of the purposes of this program, video, what, I don't know what you call it even now,
Series, yeah.
one of the one of the important things that we're going to try to achieve is to give all of you out there who feel, you obviously feel that you're struggling and you feel that you're not strong enough or you're not tough enough or you don't know how to, you don't know how to make things better, or you don't know how to be more positive, you don't know how to have an attitude, a better attitude. We're hoping to inspire you by other people telling their stories, by our giving our advice when we can and help. And we're going to be, we're going to act in some way. Al, would you say it's fair? We're going to act in some way as your guides and teachers. Would you say that's a fair thing?
Yeah, the word that came to mind while you were talking, Rosemary, is, I know I'm lucky enough in my life to have support. I have support from you. I have support from my family and friends. Not everybody has that, and if we could sort of be that advice,
we're hoping for, right?
We're hoping that we could help support people in achieving what they want to achieve and accomplishing, or kind of getting over the hurdles and obstacles that they normally have trouble getting over. Right. By having these conversations and talking through some of these things.
Yeah. Now, not only are we hoping to have people who do need that help and advice in the moment, as in the now, as things are unfolding for them and happening for them, we're also, going to, from time to time, be having people on to talk about their inspiring stories of how they dealt and how they cope with particular situations. And I made a list here. It's just a very short list. I'm going to just read the list out because Al and I talked about this a little bit before we came on air, and excuse me, about the simple things that people struggle with in their lives. The simplest things, like dieting. I mean, I can put my hand up. I don't know, you can put your hand up. My friend Mary Lewis here, boy, can she put her hand up. We've all got our hands up. Who hasn't struggled with, being overweight or even underweight or whatever it is? Who hasn't struggled with that? But for some people, it's such a misery. It's people who their whole focus is around food, whether they're eating too much of it or how to not eat too much of it, and people get really worked up and upset about it. And it sort of can, if you're too fat, if you're too heavy, or you find yourself struggling in these areas, I mean, that's such a knock to your self-worth and your own, self-value, being able to value yourself. And things like, jobs. I mean, how many people, I know so many people call me to say, I'm miserable in my job, I'm unhappy in my job, I don't know what to do about changing it. Well, first you've got to change, what have you got to change first, Al?
Your attitude.
You've got to change your attitude, exactly. And in changing your attitude and understanding where the people you're working with, understanding where they're coming from, understanding their point of view as well as your own point of view can be very helpful. So we're going to be talking about things like that. And it's all very well saying, again, you need to change your attitude. Well, how then? It's like me saying to you, Al, go away and make a chocolate cake. I mean, you want the recipe, right?
Correct.
So we're going to be hopefully devising some recipes and sort of putting our own twist on some recipes for life, recipes for how we change our attitude, or how we can, even if you have a positive attitude, how you could make it more positive. And then, I mean, just regular daily tasks. I mean, how many times, put my hand up straight away. I said to Al beforehand, I've been saying to myself for a week, I need to pay the electricity bill. I mean, will I wait until they cut me off? It's not like I can't afford to pay this particular electricity bill, although I've been in a position where I haven't been able to. But how many times we put things off because we're not focused properly on the things that we need to do. And when we put things off, then how many times that causes issues, problems, troubles in life? Because I'll come home one day from the grocery store and I'll find my electrics off, and I've got to run around and deal with something that, had I been focused more and more positive and had a better attitude about, I wouldn't have had a problem in the first place.
And that builds in the background too. That it builds up stress and anxiety, and as this mountain of things that you don't do that are really pretty quick fixes, it just builds up and adds to a poor attitude or a negative attitude.
Well, you made a good point there, because it's the little things that sort of, it starts off, often things start as a little thing and then they build and build until there's suddenly a mountain. And and at the end of the day, how the mountain got to be a mountain is, it's it's too late to figure out how it happened. What can we do about it? And another thing, relationships, and also, of course, doing what I do with work that I do, grief, not just about losing someone, not just about people dying, but the grief that we go through in losing a partner, the grief of divorce, the grief of losing a friend, the grief of losing a job. So we're not just talking about grief in terms of somebody dying on us. We're talking about grief of a loss of something that's important to us in our lives. And I just want to mention this, Al, then I'm going to hand it over to you, because we did, again, Al and I, we've been talking, Al, and we're talking about, sort of changing our way of thinking about things. So when you come up against a situation, and, we'll say, I've written it down here. How am I going to do this? You think of it, you've got a situation, you think of a solution, but you say, well, how am I going to do this? You're already on a negative path. Well, how am I going to do it? It's indicative of the fact that you're really not sure. You start to doubt. You're already doubting, can you do it? So it's sort of leaning towards a negative. And the positive of that, to turn that around, is I am going to do this. So you look at the same situation. I am going to do this. And then, right, I'm going to do it. So what do I need to do in order to fix this, in order to do what I want to do? Much more positive, and it also gives you a path forward, whereas how am I going to do this sort of smacks a little bit of desperation, or you're already thinking to yourself that you're not going to solve the issue. But you agree with that?
A sense of hopelessness, right?
Yeah.
Versus a sense of hope,
Yeah.
to accomplish what you need to.
And it's, there are people listening who might be thinking, well, there's no difference in what she just said. But there actually is a difference.
A big difference.
In here, in your head, there's a huge difference. How am I going to do this, as opposed to I'm going to do this. You're already, I'm going to do this is a positive. And we're going to be talking also about the tools that we can use. For instance, a mantra. Al, think of a couple of tools that I've given to you in the past, because Al's always calling me for all sorts of things. What tools have I suggested to you over the years? Can you think of any tools? I always say to my students, we're going to keep a tool bag. You've got to put tools in your tool bag.
Yeah, the mantra is a big one. To have and kind of repeat your mantra. The words that you use in general are powerful. Your thoughts that you have are powerful, and if you tweak those slightly, it can make a difference. If you look at others and see what they're going through or struggling with, and compare it to what you think is bad in your life. There's a lot through the use of empathy. So just really small things that you can do to make a really huge difference in really changing daily thoughts. When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you feel like or you do, even if you're exhausted? You get an email from your boss that really irks you. How do you respond to it? How do you let it affect you? Things like that are.
That you brought up a good point there, Al, because it's all about perception too.
It is.
Because one person can perceive a situation one way, and another person can perceive that same situation in a completely different way. One person might perceive a situation in a negative way, or they might feel hurt by something that's been said, whereas another person might perceive, well, I'm glad they said that to me, because at least I know where I stand now. So it's perception. And another thing is, working on your discipline. Or I hate that word discipline, but if you don't have discipline, you have nothing really. You've got to discipline yourself, I think, to, if you decide, how am I going to do this? And, or I am going to do this, so what do I need to do? Once you decide what it is you need to do, you've got to have the discipline to carry it through. Otherwise, your life will just go on and on and on in the same old way. And don't be surprised if you're just as miserable and negative in a year's time than you are right at this moment listening to us. So I think, our goal here is to help people to look at things, perhaps to see things uh, from a different perspective, from your perspective, Al, and my perspective. If somebody gives us if somebody talks to us about a situation that they're in, they will perceive it one way. With insight and with clarity, I think we can help people to perhaps see it maybe slightly in a different way, in a way that they can accept and do something about the situation, rather than just bemoaning the situation.
Right, and that's going to take. It always takes an awareness, right? An awareness that
Yeah.
maybe you're not looking at a situation the right way. Maybe you're not thinking about things in with somebody else in mind and what they're possibly going through. And then once you have that awareness, to try and use some of these tools that were discussed to change your attitude. So it's people may think it's like this insurmountable thing that is not possible, but it really is small things that take a lot of discipline daily, right? But small things will make a huge difference.
And I think it's also learning to communicate. Learning to communicate not just with other people, but learning to communicate with your own self.
Correct.
Being able to look at yourself and actually say to yourself, well, actually, what is it that I do need in my life? What would actually make me happy? And I think what I'm going to do right now is to give all of you who are listening to this a little exercise for yourselves to help you to sort of have a little bit more positive attitude. So when you finish listening to this and you go away and you're scratching your head and you're thinking, well, what do I want for my life? I'd like you to make a list of the maybe 5 things that you would like to see happen in your life. Positive things, good things that you would like to see happen in your life. And then, just look to see if those things are reasonable. Because if you put down, I want to be a millionaire, forget it. You're not being reasonable. You've got such high expectations that you're never going to meet them. And again, expectations. You can be hopeful about a thing, but if you expect something, for instance, if you expect someone to behave the way that you think they should, if you expect someone to respect you, if you expect someone to love you, if you expect someone to appreciate the fact that you cooked for them, well, good luck with that. Because that so many times that you would never ever, those people will never meet those expectations. It's not going to happen because other people don't think the way you think. They don't feel the way you do. They don't necessarily respect you or anybody else for that matter. So if you're expecting, I can assure you, if you have expectations of other people's behavior, you'll be disappointed all through your life. However, you can be hopeful. So be hopeful, not expectant. Just be hopeful that people are going to look at you and behave in the right way. But before you look at other people, and before you're hopeful about other people, I'd like you to make that little list. Just 4 or 5 things that you would love in your life, reasonable things. And then, stop expecting, because you'll disappoint yourself continually. If you expect too much of yourself, you're going to disappoint yourself continually over and over again. But if you make that list and you're hopeful, okay, I'm going to do this, so what can I do in order to, get to this point? that I can achieve whatever it is that I want. What can I do with that? Then you're hopeful and you're not going to be disappointed with yourself. That's a big thing. Do you agree with that, Al?
I would, if I could. The other day, I was dropping the kids off at school, and I dropped them off, and it was backed up getting out of this beautiful new school, backed up like crazy. And of course, the thought crosses my mind, oh my goodness, I'm going to be stuck here. What's going on? And sure enough, I pull up, and there's everybody was okay, but there was a 3-car accident. One of which the car had a young kid in a car seat. So my thought process at first was, oh geez, what a great start to the day. They're not, I can't even get out of the parking lot. I have meetings.
You were negative, weren't you? You were thinking those negative thoughts, right?
And thinking about inwardly and just about myself. And then I do try to say, all right, listen, something may be going on, relax, get past it. But initially that was my response. And then, you get out there and you see, like, that's a bad day. That they're having a little bit of a rough start. Like me waiting in traffic is not a bad day. So, I think there's 2 real pieces to this. Like, yes, you have to look inwardly and you have to focus on yourself, but there's a huge part of that empathetic piece where you have to, not have expectations, understand that, someone may have just lost somebody in their lives. Somebody may be going through chemo treatment. Somebody may, be late for a meeting that if they don't get to, they'll be fired. Those are the things. So it's this inward piece, but it's also looking outside at others and what they're going.
Get out of your own head.
You do.
I think I'm going to leave us with this little story, because this is actually a true story. Believe it or not, Al, I was in Colorado. It was wintertime. That's where Al lives, for everybody who doesn't know where Al lives. So it was wintertime, and there was thick ice on the roadway. So we're driving carefully, and there were 4 of us in the car. A friend of mine and then 2 friends of this friend sitting in the back seat. And we'd had a nice few days vacation, and we were driving to the airport. We had to drive on this really thick icy road. So everybody was driving respectfully, slowly, carefully, and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden, this car comes whizzing past us. I will say it was a bit dangerous, we were all looking to see, is he going to crash, is he going to skid or whatever, but it was whizzing down the road. Anyway, the 3 occupants in the car, of course, I sat there, I'm a good girl, I was a nice person. The 3 people in the car were really having a go and not being nice at all about the guy driving, what an idiot, what this, that, and the other. They were really being little aggressive, let's say. I mean, it's true, we were all frightened, so people say things or they get aggressive when, perhaps when they shouldn't. Anyway, I'm listening to them, and it's like they're going on and on and on about this driver and how awful he was, what an idiot he was, and so on and so forth. And I said, can I just say something? Now, these people knew that I'm psychic, right? So I said, well, let me just tell you something about that guy who's driving that car. He's just had a phone call to say that his wife has been rushed to the hospital. He's got 3 young children, all under the age of 5, and his wife has been rushed to the hospital. He's been told it's an emergency, she's in a bad condition, and he's worrying about his 3 kids who've been taken in by neighbors. And so he's not even thinking. All he wants to do is just get to the hospital. So I explained all of this to them, and of course they felt then really awful, because it said some really mean things about this driver. So basically it's sort of looking to see why a person is behaving erratically, why a person is behaving badly, why a person is behaving in a way that you don't expect, remember the expect thing, that you don't expect them to behave. And so, you know, they're all now very contrite, which I suppose was my point, really, to make them think, just to think, right? And they were all really contrite. And one of the women in the back seat, she said, "Oh, Rosemary, I feel really awful now." She said all those really awful, horrible, negative things and so on. She said, "Is that really true?" And there was a beat. And I said, "No, but it could have been. It could have been." So we do with all of this, everything is attitude. We do have to think about the way that not only we perceive ourselves, we perceive others, we perceive situations, we make judgments, we make judgment calls. We all do it. We're all human. I'm just as guilty as everybody else. But when we start to make judgments in situations that really affect us, that can be really tough.
And if you make that judgment, Rosemary, to learn to say, wait a second, maybe something is going on in that car that the guy's rushing. That's a difference maker too with attitude. And hopefully through these stories and talks, people will understand a little bit more and, like we said, help in their own lives.
Well, I think my battery is running out, I have to tell you. So I think I'm going to plug it up in a minute. But I think we've had this has been it's been good for me, Al, don't you think? And it's a good beginning. So we're going to invite people. Can you tell people where it is that they need to send their information to us if they want to be a part of this show?
So I've shown the link a few times, and I'll show it right now again. It's info@everythingisattitude.com. So if you want to be a participant in the show, we do have a number of people on already. So if you want to be involved, let us know right away. And
we want you to be involved.
We do. Yeah, absolutely.
We want people to be involved. Mary Lou's here with me. Say hi, Mary Lou.
Mary
Lou's so involved. Are you enjoying this?
I am.
She's going to come on with a situation that she has. Whether it's next week or the week after, we're not sure. But anyway, she's going to come on and participate. So we're encouraging people, please participate. We'll do our best to help you if we can.
And it's not an easy thing to do, Mary Lou. So thank you for volunteering. And hopefully we'll all learn from you sharing your experience.
Thank you. I've had to bribe her with food.
I don't know that we can do that with everybody, but the people close to us, we sure can.
Yeah, we can. So, Al, is there anything else you'd like to say before we wind up here?
Nope. I think this is a great start, and like we said in the beginning, this is going to evolve as we move through this.
Yeah, we're not sure if it's going to be every Friday. We sort of did this off the top of our head, really, didn't we?
Yes.
Just, come on, let's just do it. But we will let you know. We'll keep you posted. Keep looking on Facebook. I think you can connect with Al's Facebook as well, right, Al? I mean,
correct.
We're sharing, right?
Yes, exactly.
If only I knew how to share. I don't.
The folks out there know how to share, though.
Okay. Well, Al, thank you, and thank everybody. I thank everybody for everybody who's come on, everybody who's interested, and I thank Mary Lou, even though we didn't use you today. And we'll see you next time, possibly next Friday. You never know. We might be doing it every 2 or 3 days. You never know, do you, Al?
Never know.
We don't know yet, do we? What we doing?
The more people that come on, the more shows we could have, right?
Yeah, there's no reason why. I mean, it's, what is it? How long have we been on? 40 minutes?
Yeah, and if it's a little shorter, a little longer, that's okay.
Yeah. So there's no reason why we can't do this on a very regular basis. So exactly. Please get involved, enjoy. Hopefully next time we'll have somebody else on, just other than Al and I, because I'm sure you must be sick of seeing the two of us.
Okay, so we'll wrap up, and we'll see you next week. We'll put it as next Friday for now, Rosemary, right? And if it's something changes, we'll let everybody know.
Just everybody, I just encourage everyone to, email that address if you want to be involved. If you want to know more about me, My email, as you all know, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. Al, do you want to say, if anybody wants to know more about do you have an email that people can write to you as well?
All right. It's just al@alpisano.com. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so until we see you next time, please, very, very, very heartfelt, please, please, please have a very, very, very blessed day.